Yes. Welcome to the Picky Girl Travels podcast, the show for Black women who want more out of life and to live it as they see fit. The message here is all about defying convention, embracing adventure, and regretting absolutely nothing. I'm your host, Adelia Borishade of PickyGirlTravelsTheWorld.com. Hey, y'all. The whole reason this podcast exists is to help more women, in particular Black women, live life on their terms. What that means exactly will be different for each woman. It means living your life in such a way that it is true to the real you and not just about how society says you should live. The way I see it, in order to live the life that I do, one centered on travel and ease, I had to get rid of the things and the people who weren't aligned with what I wanted my life to look like. But I also had to make sure that my finances were aligned with how I wanted to live my life. And that's what I want to talk to y'all about today. Maybe it's because of the kind of work I do now in the personal finance space and in financial education. I can't separate finances from the push toward living life on your terms. To me, those two things go hand in hand, and one is not possible without the other. I've mentioned in several episodes of this podcast that it was because I had a handle on my money that I was able to step away from the so-called American dream and live the life that I always wanted. This is not going to be a conversation about needing to budget or not needing to budget or credit card debt. It's not going to be about I don't think this is really like the traditional financial conversation. This is really thinking about your finances in the context of the life that you want. How you are spending your money matters. Your finances need to be aligned with your goals. How you spend your time should also be in alignment as well, because let's be real, time is money. So in my mind, you can use those two words interchangeably. So let me ask you, are you spending money in ways that support the life that you want? I want you to really think about that before you answer. Are you shopping and spending money to alleviate boredom, for entertainment? Are you spending money unconsciously, like you look up and you can't even remember where that $200, $300, $400 went? You know you spent it on something, but you really have no clue as to what it was that you bought. You know, those trips to Target where you're going for one thing and you leave spending $297, they are probably not helping you get closer to the life that you've always wanted. Now, I am not trying to criticize your spending choices, okay? This is coming from a place of love and kindness. I'm supposed to be asking you those uncomfortable questions to get you thinking and to get you reevaluating things, okay? So, don't hang me out to dry just yet. If you have goals of living a life where you are an entrepreneur, where you are building a business, where you are traveling more, you envision yourself at some point becoming financially independent and investing in your future, I want you to ask yourself, how does your current budgeting strategy support any of those things? If you answered, I don't know, I'm not sure, I think you know what I'm going to say next. You need to work on getting yourself in financial alignment. That is, getting your behavior when it comes to money in step with how you want to be living your life. It is not a criticism. If your life and your finances are out of alignment, I'm not coming here to criticize you. I'm coming really more from a place of maybe helping you realize something that it took me a while to realize myself. Using your money and your time to be strategic about creating the life you want is key to living a life on your terms. That's the real cheat code. Things like carrying debt from one month to the next could be diverting the money you need to start making your dreams happen. Paying for things because you always have, things like storage and gym membership and Netflix and Hulu and all of that kind of stuff, could have the same impact. I'm not saying you can't have those things. What I am saying is you need to evaluate, are those things that you really need? Are they important to you in living the life you want? Is your money going toward the things that really matter to you? Having a car lease, because you feel like having a car payment is a normal thing. Does that really fit the life that you want? Or is that diverting money away from doing the things that you want? Or the things that matter to you. I'll give you an example from my own life. I was at a point where my kids were big enough, I didn't need to drive a mom mobile anymore, and I wanted a 2-door coupe. And what I really wanted was like a Nissan 370, I think it was. And I had enough to buy the car, but it really wasn't a car I could afford to own. I had the money, I had the credit, I could have gotten a car loan. But when I looked at the specialized tires it needed premium gas, it needed all these other things. And then I contrasted that with the life I wanted to live. And, I wanted to be traveling and I wanted to be doing these other things. There was no way I had enough money to do all of it. So I had to make a choice. I opted for a Honda Accord coupe. And maybe you're hearing me tell this story and you're thinking, "Oh, girl, you downgraded." But you know what? That coupe served my need of having a sporty car, but it also left money in my pocket so that I could travel the world. So, take away from that what you will. I think you really have to take a look at how you're using your money and ask yourself, is this in alignment with the life that I want? As you get ready to make a big purchase, a big financial decision, ask yourself, or even small financial decisions, does this support the life that I want? Is this in alignment with what I have said are my goals? That's something I started to do myself. I started to ask myself that question. And I was able to talk myself down from some purchases and some financial decisions that ultimately would not have allowed me to be here where I am right now. If the thought of going deep and analyzing your finances and spending habits seems like a waste of time, what you're saying is, living the life that I want is a waste of time. And you would not be here listening to me right now if that's how you felt. I don't believe that at all. As I said, I don't think financial alignment is just about spending versus saving. It also includes how you use your time and your energy. So I'll go ahead and ask you this as well. Are you spending your time in ways that support the life you want? I think about the years that I continued to work a job at which I was completely burned out because that's what I always did, because I was afraid of exploring what else I could be doing to make a living. And so I was as guilty of that as anybody. I was not how I was spending my time did not initially line up with the life I wanted. In the US, our culture is very much one of that, where you should always work hard, you should be striving, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Like the 6-figure job, the 6-figure income, like that is the goal. And maybe that's the thing that's in the back of your brain pushing you, but deep down, you really not about that work all the time life, because if you are going to make 6 figures, contrary to what a lot of people on the internet tell you, you are going to have to spend a lot of your time working. So if you don't really enjoy the grind, you don't enjoy giving up lots of your time away from family and friends and the things that you love doing, maybe chasing that 6-figure income doesn't really line up with the life that you dream about. There's a disconnect there. Like I said, society will tell you, of course, that going for the job is the right choice. But y'all know how I feel about societal expectations. But I will acknowledge it is very difficult to step away from that. I struggled for years being miserable at my job, but knowing like everything told me you've got to keep climbing the ladder and looking for opportunities to make more money, even though it was all slowly killing me, Maybe you've gotten bitten by the bug, or maybe the idea of buying a house. Like that's the piece of the American dream. That's a big focus for you, but you also really want to be a digital nomad. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible for two things to be true at the same time. However, buying a house, saving a house, affording a house, keeping up a house, and being a digital nomad bopping around the world, those are not two things that are all that in sync with each other. It is quite possible that trying to have both of those things will lead you to working so much you can't enjoy either one. Being an entrepreneur, being your own boss, is seen as a worthy goal. You've only got to go to LLC Twitter and see, like, that's what everybody is supposed to be doing. Everybody is supposed to be getting an LLC. They're supposed to be starting their own business. They're supposed to be hustling, grinding, cranking out 6-figure months and all that jazz. But you know what? There is nothing wrong with having a regular 9-to-5 job with defined work hours, because what they don't talk about enough on LLC Twitter is when you are your own boss, you're going to work far more than you would at a regular job. And there are some weeks, some months where you make money, and then there are some where you don't. But if you're trying to reconcile, like, I should be trying to, build another stream of income, become my own boss, have a side hustle. But at the same time, you're thinking, like, I like knowing I only have to work from 9 to 5. I like knowing that every 2 weeks I will get a paycheck. There is nothing wrong with that. And maybe pursuing that dream of pursuing entrepreneurship is not really the right move for you. To be truly in financial alignment, I do think you have to be realistic and examine who you are as a person and what it is that you really want. How do you do that? Well, It depends. That sort of like self-analysis may not come easily to you. I've mentioned before, for me, it was hard to kind of step away from the reality I was living and dream about what could be possible. Okay. Or things that I could aspire to, because so much of my life was simply dedicated to surviving. There just was not space to dream about a life that didn't exist. So this is what ultimately worked for me to kind of help me figure out what was it I really wanted. If I could have anything at all, what is it that I would want? This blog post is no longer up on the internet. This used to be on the lala.com, and I don't think that website exists anymore. The advice was to sit down with a journal, piece of paper, whatever, and clearly identify what your life goals and values are. Then identify the things, the people, the habits in your life that both contribute and hinder achieving that goal. You then cut out that which doesn't lead to your achieving that goal, achieving your happiness, and add more of what does. So this is what I did. Y'all know I love a table. I made a table where I listed my goals, like what were the things that I wanted to achieve. Like I wanted to travel more, for instance. Okay, then I had another column for what were the things, the people, the habits I had that helped with that goal, and what were the people, the habits, the things in my life that hindered. I then repeated that same process for my values. So I did the same thing for my values. Like one of my values is integrity. So what were the habits that I already had that support that and help me demonstrate that? What were the things or the people or, the habits that prevented that? Once I saw things like written out, it became very clear to me that there were certain people in my life who were keeping me from being the person that I wanted to be and keeping me from living the life that I wanted to be. So those people needed to be removed. There were certain people who were there for me and helped me on this path I didn't even realize I was on, as well as some of my own personal habits, like my procrastination, things like that. So ultimately, that is what helped me, actually seeing it written down. And as I continued down this path, I had it written down so I could come back and refer to it like, okay, these are my values. These are the things that are important to me. This opportunity that has been presented to me, if I choose to use my time for that, is it supporting the things that I have already identified that are important to me? We do struggle sometimes saying no to things or walking away from what appears to everybody else to be like a great opportunity. But yes, no is a complete sentence. But sometimes we need a little help with feeling okay with giving that no. And this activity, this exercise helped remind me of what my goals were, what were the values I had said were important to me. And so coming back and referencing it helped me make choices that aligned with what I said was important in my life. Filling this out also gave me clarity. so that I could make the adjustments I needed of how I was using my time and my money, so that I could live a life that looked more like the one I knew I wanted. Even now, at this point in my life where I have, I guess technically, I am living my dream. But even now, I still get the urge, or I still find myself maybe waffling, And so I will come back to asking myself, does like spending frivolously on this thing, does that align with the life that you want? Is that if I buy this, is it going to support the life that I want? And sometimes, yes, it does, because the life that I want focuses on my happiness, and sometimes buying something frivolous is going to make me happy, and the joy I get from that works. There are other times when no, there is something else I could be using that money toward, and so I have to go through this in my head to make that decision. And that's what I want you to do too. When you contemplate a purchase or a time commitment, ask yourself, is this choice in line with the life that you want to be living? And be honest with yourself. Ensuring that your financial choices align with the life you live or the one that you want to live isn't like, I only got to do this one time and I'm done, everything's great. It is not a one and done sort of thing. It is definitely an ongoing practice. I hope you see that, because it's something that's been ongoing in my life. That's one of the reasons that I started the Financial Confidence Academy. It's sort of like a monthly group coaching thing, group coaching program where we explore the ins and outs of different financial topics. The ultimate objective is that you will get from the program what you need, and that will help you be more confident in the decisions that you are making, more educated in the financial decisions you are making, so that you can make sure that they align with the life that you want. This episode is short, but this has been a topic that's been kicking around my head for a while, so I wanted to share it with y'all. If you've got some thoughts or some feelings about this particular topic, I'd love to hear from you. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment on this video. If you are listening to this on, like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever, you can reach out via social media or use the link in the description and leave me a voicemail. I'm pretty easy to find on the internet. If there's a topic that you would like me to dig into on the podcast, please feel free to let me know about that as well. As always, I am eternally grateful for your continued support. If you have not done so already, please like, share, subscribe, all of those things. Any of those things helps the podcast. It helps get the message out. If by chance you want to help financially, you can buy me a hot chocolate. You can become a patron on Anchor. I think that's it. Until next time.